So tonight is going to be a little bit more of a casual chat, I guess, about what has been going on in my life lately and how I've been feeling, because a lot of what I've been feeling is uncertainty and insecurity and just not really sure exactly what this next part of the year of my life holds for me. And it's new. And so part of this video I think will be a little bit about kind of updates, and then the other part of this video I'll be talking a little bit about something that I've wanted to talk about for a while, which is age pressure and destination addiction or destination happiness. So I guess to get started, I basically am not where I thought I would be in life right now. And I don't say that as a positive or really a negative, but just as a comment on the fact that what younger Emily thought she would be doing right now is very different than what I'm actually currently doing. And in many ways, I feel a little bit uncomfortable about that, because when I was younger, what I thought would make me happy, or what I saw the trajectory of my life being, was this very formulaic and rigid idea of what happiness and my life was gonna look like. As I've kind of gotten older, especially gotten into my later 20s now, and as I've stayed in school and continue to be in school, I've really had to wrestle with and think about my traditional notions of what success and happiness are. I heavily bought into this idea of the kind of classic American dream trajectory, that I just thought that that's what my life was going to look like, because no one told me that it could look different. And when I was younger, I really was like, oh, I'm going to be married by 25, and then I'm going to be married for 2 years so we can enjoy being married. And then I'm gonna have kids. I'm gonna have one, then wait a year or two, and then have another one, and then be done having kids by the time I'm 30. I'm gonna be, cool and fashionable, and I'm also gonna be able to have my career and climb the corporate ladder and do all these things. And that is just so far from what my life looks like right now. And I'm honestly laughing at how absurd, when I say that back, how absurd that sounds. But the reason that these feelings have been especially brought to the surface lately is because I'm about to finish my last year of coursework for my PhD program. And in case you're not familiar, the way that the structure, every PhD program might have some slight variation to this. And this is, I'm specifically doing a PhD program in the United States, but for my program, the kind of order that you go in is you take classes for 2 years, you take comps at the end of this year. If you pass, you move into your third year, where you put together your committee, you defend your proposal ideally, and then after that you move into your kind of final stage where you're actually writing your dissertation. And then once you have your dissertation complete, your research complete, then you defend your dissertation, and then you're done. And that is the process that can take a questionable amount of time, because the first 3 steps you have to complete within 3 years, otherwise you lose your funding. And I'm not sure if you are kicked out of the program, but you definitely lose your funding after year 3 if you don't defend your proposal by August. So I am currently about to finish my coursework, and then I take my comps in a little over a month, and then I move into the kind of loosey-goosey part of the PhD process for me. So I don't know, I guess I'm feeling a lot of uncertainty. I feel like the direction that I could take after this is a bit fuzzy, because most people recommend not getting a full-time job and kind of focusing completely on your research and getting your dissertation proposal defended and everything. But to be quite honest, I kind of miss having a full-time job, and maybe I don't miss having a full-time job, but I definitely miss the financial security of it. I miss the benefits associated with it. I do kind of have a fear that if I take a break from working, 1, it just won't be financially feasible, and 2, it'll be hard for me to find a job after this. I basically decided I don't want to pursue any tenure track positions. And up until this point, I've never been in a program or in school where I have to form a committee and do my own original research and drive that forward. And I guess I do have some questions and fears over, what if I can't do that? What if I don't do it successfully and I don't finish this program? 27 is a very strange age, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this, how your 20s, especially your mid to late 20s, start to get really weird, and weirder as you get into your 30s, because you have people who you grew up with doing so many different things and at so many different life stages. For me, I have some of my friends who have gotten married, who've bought homes, who have had kids, and it's hard not to look at their lives and what they're doing and feel as though maybe I should have already done that by now. It was interesting to observe that as I got older, the less and less this quintessential idea of success and happiness resonated with me. Right now, I am not sure I want to get married. I feel like that's maybe a slightly controversial opinion, but I'm not sure I want to get married. I'm not 100% against it, but it's just not something that is at the forefront of my mind right now. I'm also not sure about having kids, which I think is, again, a controversial opinion. I used to think that I really wanted to be a homeowner. Now that I'm older, I have mixed feelings about home and land ownership, but I also just don't know that I want to be in one place for that long. And most people will say, oh, well, then buy a house and rent it out when you're not there. But I don't want to do that either, because I'm lazy, and that's not a way that I really want to make money. I don't know that I want to buy a house, and that feels really, again, controversial to say. It feels like what I'm doing is basically the opposite of what everybody else is doing and what I should be doing. I guess I should clarify that this is not a pressure that my parents have put on me. This is not a pressure that my partner has put on me, or that my friends have put on me. It's one of those things where you have society telling you, this is what an adult in their 20s is doing, and that is getting married, having kids, buying a house. And when you don't do those things, it feels as though you're kind of like there's something wrong with you. I don't really feel insecure, I guess, in my choices about this. The American dream really actually isn't achievable for most people in this country if you're not white, upper middle class, heteronormative, and able-bodied, like all of these things. Then this concept of happiness has never really been for you. It's challenging, especially because it would be easy on one hand, right? If there was a set path for people who didn't want to follow your traditional American dream type path. But the reality is it feels like there isn't really a blueprint for happiness or success in the United States outside of that narrative, because there's no one to say, well, it's totally fine if you don't want to have kids, because if you don't have kids, this is what you do. This is what you spend your adulthood doing. Something else that I'm really trying to get away from is this destination addiction or destination happiness. And one of the kind of quotes that sparked this, basically, it says, beware of destination addiction, the idea that happiness is in the next place, the next job, or even with the next partner. Until you give up the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. When I read this, it really did hit me, because I am definitely someone who does this, and I think that as someone who likes to set goals for myself and really be very strategic about what I'm going to do, it's very easy for me to focus on this idea of what's coming next and how I can continue to grow and improve. And this has been especially true with my PhD program, because when I was before this, I would have said, oh, my goal is to get into a PhD program, and then maybe once I'm there, I will feel confident in my intelligence, and I will feel confident in the fact that I'm a very capable person and that I can, that I can do this. And now it's funny, because I actually feel like I know less. I feel like I'm more aware of the fact that I don't know that much, and I feel less sure that I actually am qualified to be talking about the things that I'm talking about. All this is to say that it's really hard for me sometimes to pull myself out of this mindset, because I think for me, I've always been someone that wherever I want to be is never where I am, if that makes any sense. And this is not just physical, but also as it relates to life and goals in general, but I always want to be where I'm not. So for example, right now I'm in Boston. I wish I was in California with my parents, and being able to celebrate the fact that both of them are now retired. Or I wish I was able to go see my friends in LA. I wish I was in New York. I wish I was in South Korea. I wish I was in China. You know, I basically want to be anywhere but where I am. And I think that part of that is stress for sure. But when I find that, you know, when I'm in San Francisco with my parents or my friends, I wish I was in Boston, or I wish I was, again, in any of the other cities that I just mentioned, cities and countries that I mentioned. And it's really, you know, it's I don't know why I really struggle with this, but it's very, I basically never want to be doing what I'm actually doing. And it's kind of like a weird game I have to play with myself, where the thing that I actually want to be doing is something that I can't put my entire energy or focus on, because if I do, then I just by default, in the way my psychology works, I don't want to be doing it anymore. So school has definitely felt like something that at this point, I don't really want to be doing this program anymore. And that's very startling to admit to myself. The idea that I have to do this for 2 to 3 to 4 or however many more years is, I don't know how I feel about it. And especially because it's very hard to do your PhD and also work and also try and find time to see friends and travel and do all these other things that you want to do. But I've gotten better at acknowledging that I want certain things and then actually trying to execute and do those things. I guess I say that because I'm trying to find happiness and peace where I am right now, and age pressure, destination addiction is making it feel really challenging. Yeah, it's making it kind of hard. It's making it kind of hard to do that. It's becoming harder and harder not to succumb to age pressure, I guess. I imagine that it will only continue to be harder as I get older, and as more of my friends and more of the people around me get married and have kids and buy homes. But with that, I just want to say thank you so much for listening, and thank you for watching. You know, I would love to know if you've dealt with age pressure, if you've dealt with kind of destination addiction or destination happiness, and just what you do when you're feeling that way. I hope you have a great week. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.